In this video I'm going to restore this Garrard SP25 turntable from 1965. Let's go. Okay, so this is the inside of the turntable underneath. It's upside down, and I've removed the bottom plate, which is just hardboard. So you can see it's very clean inside. Here's the motor. This is the wiring from the tone arm, and then that's going out to the amp, and this is the mains cable. It's only 2-core mains cable, so there's no earth. So I need to check if it's recommended that this has an earth fitted. I can't see a lug anywhere, but there may be one. So that's one thing I need to check. I'm going to kind of go through the mechanism a bit later. It's obviously, as you can see, it's fairly complicated, and sometimes the grease has gone hard, so it needs kind of cleaning and a little bit of oiling or greasing. Yeah, it's clean. I don't know how well the mechanism works yet. I haven't switched it on because there's a couple of issues. This is originally exported to Denmark, and I know that because it's got Danish lettering there, and also on the on-off switch you can see, well, you may be able to see there. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. My Danish is non-existent. So it was originally exported to Denmark, and it is 240 volts because this little junction box here, you change jumpers for 120 and 240 volts. It's already set to 240 volts, but it's got looks thin for a Euro plug, but maybe it is. I don't know. But it's got the wrong plug on anyway, and it's not earthed. And then the signal out is this, which again looks small for a DIN plug. It's only got 3 pins. I don't have a connector to go to it, so I'm going to convert it to a standard phono twin phono out. So I need to replace this cable and this mains cable and check about an earth. Yeah, and that's about it. I can't see a date. The only number I can see is this here, which is 11/64/18. Whether that's 1964, I don't know. Could be the 18th of November 64. I don't know why they put the year in the middle. That's a very non-standard date format. Or it could be something else. I don't know. 64. This is a Mark 1 SP25, so I don't know when. Feels a little bit late, 64, but I don't know. Anyway, I'll do a bit more research on it. Yeah, so I'm just going to check about the earth, and then we'll get on with the cabling for this. Okay, so I've been doing a bit of investigation and looking around. I could see this, don't know if you can see that, there's a green wire here that's been cut off, and a bit of Googling seems there's a lug on the bottom, well it's actually the top because this is upside down, but on the other side of this mains connection point, and that is an earth lug there. So that earths the motor. So the plot thickens. Yeah, it's getting exciting. So I've just taken this. This is the voltage selector block. I've just unscrewed that from the motor, and I can now get to the earth point, and you can see it's just been cut off. Why? No idea. So that earths the motor, but then the motor is on rubber blocks and can move around independent of the chassis, so it doesn't transmit motor noise to the pickup. So I was thinking, so how is the chassis earthed? And just moving things around, I've just found this here, which you may be able to see is another green wire that has been cut. So I think that is going through, this screw here goes through to the chassis, to earth the chassis. So there's obviously two earth points that need to be earthed. I can only assume this was done when it was exported to Denmark, unless it was done by an owner, one of the owner, previous owner, but no idea, very odd. I mean, this mains cable is, I think, fairly old, so I don't think it's been done recently. Anyway, so we need to run the new mains cable to here, and so that is double pole switch, and that's going off to the motor, and then I'm going to have to run an earth. Probably makes most sense. Run one earth to there, and then run an earth to there, so that everything then should be earthed. We'll have to see when we switch it on and try it whether there's an earth loop or any hum, but we'll see when we get to that. So that's the plan. So what I am going to do is use, obviously because I need an earth, I'm going to use 3-core cable. And what I quite like using is this braided cable. It's standard 2 or 3 core double insulated cable on the inside, but then it's got this braid over it. It does make using it a bit more complicated because you've got, as you can see here, this braid frays and becomes loose. So what I tend to do is put heat shrink on as the very first thing, and then I'll cut through the braid and the white insulation to expose the conductors. I've actually put that in the wrong place because I was thinking there was only one earth point up there, so I was going to run the earth lead to there, but actually I'm going to move it there, so I'm going to kind of put heat shrink about here. So I'm just going to do that, and then I will start cutting this, and I'm going to have to get a couple of crimp terminals, crimp lugs to fit the earth properly. So I'm just going to do that now. Okay, actually what I'm going to do is start to cut through the braiding, and the heat shrink will stop it unravelling, which is the main problem with this braided cable. So it's a bit more work, but I don't know, I just like the look of it. There you go. So then we just got our 3 wires as normal. So yeah, it's a little bit more faff with the braided cable, but if you put heat shrink on, it does just stop it unraveling and whatever. So I'll just pull that heat shrink forwards a bit, and then just shrink it over the end to make it extra neat. Okay, so then we've got our 3 wires, so 2 there, and I don't think, yeah, there's not even any polarity marked on the block. Obviously the the original plug wasn't polarized anyway, so there's no polarity on it. So I can just connect live and neutral whichever way around here, run earth to there, and then run another earth up to here. So just get some earth cable. Okay, so I'm just going to solder that because I have to use the slightly larger middle crimp because I've got 2 cables going in, so it's pretty good, but I'll just solder it as well just to be doubly sure. So that's going to go to there, and then this will go around up to there. We should all be earthed then. So let me I'll solder that in a minute. Let's just put a crimp on this end. This crimp tool was just a fairly cheap one. It does a better job than pliers, but it's not perfect. The actual crimp on the insulation isn't great that it forms, so I'll just solder these as well. I'm just going to put a little bit of heat shrink over there's one. Wait. Okay, then put the heat shrink on. Alright, so we've got our earth lead that's going to go there and to there, and then we just need to terminate the mains wires. So what I need to do is just unsolder this and get rid of this cable, and then we can whoa, the smell of 50-year-old flux, marvellous. There we go, the cable's through. I'll clamp it and then it's going to bend. It's a little bit inflexible compared to that kind of bell wire that was on before, but we'll make it work. And then the first earth point is going to go there, and then I'll route this around to there and maybe clip it. This is fairly rigid wire. This is a bit more flexible, so I don't want it getting anywhere near the mechanism. Obviously this is upside down anyway, so gravity's going to pull it away, but just may as well route it that way. Okay, so yeah, let's get the cord grip on, I think. What I may as well do now is just put this back on. So this actually has moulded into the cover. You may not be able to read it, but it says shows you how to connect it for 130 volts AC, and how to connect it for 200/250 volts. So it's obviously made for with export in mind. So we should be there, apart from that one, we should be there. So next I'm going to get on with replacing this. Yeah. Right, so as I was saying, exactly as we did before with the mains cable, I'm just going to carefully cut through the braiding. So we've got the screen and we've got the two signal cables. So they're going to replace these here. So there's 5 lugs in total. These 3 centre ones are bridged, I think. So that's the screen. Not quite sure why they're bridged, but they are. Oh, well that'll be because from the pickup there are 4 wires, so there's separate ground for the right and left channel, and then the grounds are joined together here. So that'll be, let's see if we can see. Ah, okay, yeah. So the all right, so that makes sense. So the middle, let's see if I can get a pointy thing. So hopefully you can see this. So there's 5 tabs on this tag strip. The 2 outer ones are the signal, there and there, and obviously these wires go to the tone arm. There's 4 wires going to the tone arm. This middle one is earthed to the chassis, so that's going down there and it's screwed to the chassis, so that's earthed. And then these are the 2, the blue and green are the 2 wires from the 2 grounds from the right and left channel in the pickup, so they're being grounded to ground. So we've got, obviously that's all connected through, that's connected through the chassis to the mains ground. Yeah, that makes sense. And they're being connected together, the right and left grounds as well as connected to the mains ground. All right, that makes sense. So very simple. Just need to, shame, might leave some slack so I can clip this to the side because it's a bit flapping about. Might try and clip it there somehow. Anyway, so I'm just going to solder this onto this tag strip now. Yeah, right, that's good. I can't move. It's a bit flappy in the middle of nowhere, but it's the way it was. Alright, so now what I want to do is just have a look. Flip this over. Let's start to have a look under the platter. Right. So, turn it around. Okay, so this is an SP25, Garrard SP25. It's a Mark 1. Doesn't say Mark 1 because I guess they didn't know there was going to be a Mark 2, 3 and 4. It's a Mark 1, which is the first one. I think it was 1960s, late 50s, 60s. Fully automatic. It plays pretty much every speed you might want. It's auto cue and auto lift at the end. And it wasn't, you know, it was a kind of lowish price turntable at the time. It wasn't a really high-end turntable by any means, but it was good for the price. It was good sound quality. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays when we get it working. So the first challenge before I can really test the turntable is to get a decent-ish stylus and cartridge into it. This is the Garrard head shell that came with the turntable, and it's got a really old, I'm not sure if it's mono, I think it's stereo, but it's a really old, horrible stylus in it. Don't want to put that anywhere near a record. So I'm going to fit a modern Audio-Technica cartridge in, not particularly expensive one of the cheaper ones, but it'll be a lot better. It's quite a heavy weight, I think, the tone arm, the tracking weight, so there are kind of forums that recommend different ones. This was one that I saw recommended, so I thought I'd try that. So yeah, so I need to get that into this, and the challenge is that this has a single screw mounting. Garrard did sell an adapter plate, but I can't find anywhere that has one on sale, and so I'm going to make my own adapter plate, basically a single screw to double screw mounting, which is what modern cartridges tend to be. So if we have a quick look at this cartridge, so this is where it mounts into the tone arm. It's kind of it's like a screw holding this in, and you can see the 4 connections on the end there. The cartridge that is fitted to it, and this is what came in the turntable, is, and some of you may recognize these, this is actually, I think, a mono and stereo cartridge. So I think it's although it's only 3 wires, I think it is wide for stereo. And it's one of those that you can flip over. So you've got a stylus there for, I assume that's mono, because the M is, see the M there, that's kind of up, and then you can flip it over for that. You probably can't see that, but there is an S on there for stereo. And if I try and hold the head shell steady, you can probably see how much that wobbles about. not very good. I think the spring actually has lost some tension, but anyway, it's pretty old and horrible. It's got some writing on it, so it says, gosh, I can't even read that. I don't know what that writing says at the top. Then it says stylus TC8 RS, and on the other side, I think it's that way around. Oh no, you can't see the other side very well. Anyway, it says made in England, and there's some other writing on it. Really old style of cartridge, and as I say, you can see how much this wobbles about, so that's not going to be very good. God knows what condition the actual stylus is in as well. So yeah, this was quite a. Some of these were you could flip over for 78s and LPs, I think, as well. That they did different kind of styles. So I'm going to get this out of this head shell. The wiring looks fine, so I think I can reuse the wiring. I'm not totally sure on the connections from here to the cartridge, the new cartridge, but I'll figure that out as I go. So let's get on with that. I'm going to try and make this adapter plate. So what I've done, and this is actually kind of modelled on the original, although the original was, I've 3D printed this. The original was obviously cast in some sort of, I don't know, aluminium or some sort of alloy. So there's a single screw hole there to mount it into the head shell, and then there's 2 screws for the new cartridge. So this needs to screw into the head shell. So what I've also bought are some little brass thread inserts. So I'm going to just heat this up, and hopefully that will press into there and be flush, and then I can put the screws through into the new cartridge body. So that's the plan. So I'm just going to do that now. So I'm just going to use a soldering iron just to heat this up and see how well or badly that works. Okay, so before I do that, let's just take this out of the head shell. So as I say, it's just a single screw on top, and that releases the cartridge. So there's the cartridge, and you can see it's on a bracket, and that just has a single screw hole into the head shell. You can see that writing a little bit more now. It says made in England, and Fulfi TC8S. I don't know if Fulfi is the brand name, looks like it. And then on the other side we saw it just got, I don't know what the top row of letters are saying, but then stylus TC8RS. And there's the bracket that screws into the head shell, and you can see how wobbly everything is. So I'm just going to pull these wires off, and then I'm just going to clean the inside of the head shell. It's a little bit mucky down here. I don't know if that's glue, actually. Might be. I might need to clean that off a bit. And then hopefully we can get this bracket in there and held in with a single screw, and then screw the cartridge on. Okay, so just pulled the connections off the back of the old cartridge. There's some tape which I think is just holding the 4th wire. Oh blimey, that's sticky. some period tape, and there are the 4 wires going through, which look fine. They're very delicate obviously, but they look fine. So yeah, there's some kind of glue residue from the tape there, and it looks as though some sort of adhesive there. I might just get a cotton bud and try and clean some of that off, because obviously I want that to sit as flat as possible in the head shell. So I'm just going to clean that up and then we'll come back. Okay, so I've just cleaned up the head shell as well as I can. There's still a bit of residue in there. I don't know what sort of glue that is. I've tried different solvents on it, but it is smooth now. Just looks a bit messy, but anyway, no one's ever going to see that. I just cleaned up the connector a little bit as well with contact cleaner, and yeah, this is the standard Garrard head shell. So I'm just warming up the soldering iron, and then we will see about getting this brass insert into here. We'll see how we go. We might melt the whole thing, but if needs be, it only takes about 15 minutes to print one of these anyway. Alright, let's do it that way around and see how we go. Apologies about the flickering, but this soldering iron has a light. Oop. Oh, there you go. That was easy. Yeah, this soldering iron has an LED light that flickers very annoyingly under the camera. There you go, that is in. May just press it down a little bit more. Okay. I'm just going to press that down a little bit more. What I don't want to do is melt the whole thing, if I can help it. Okay, that'll do. Okay, so I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. I've got a little bit of solder on off the iron, and then I think that is in. It doesn't really got to take any weight. It feels very smooth actually anyway, but yeah, it hasn't got to take any weight. It's just got to hold it in this head shell like that in there. So just going to clean that up a little bit, and then we will try and fit the stylus. All right, there you go. It's in. I think it's okay. So I'm just going to, might not be able to do this quite so easily on camera. I'm just going to mount the cartridge to this using some, I think these are that's 3mm. So I'm using 3mm to mount that. I think it's Imperial originally. I'm using 3mm thread insert though, and then 2.5mm screws through for the to mount the cartridge. So I'll do that off camera and bring you back when it's fitted. Okay, so there's the new cartridge mounted to the adapter plate, and then that will go sit in there, and screw will go in there. I won't do that now because I need to figure out the wiring, but I think that's going to work. don't see any reason why not. It's approximately the same height as the old stylus, because obviously you want the tone arm to be parallel to the surface of the record if you can. So yeah, I think that will work. So I'm just going to sort out how this wiring attaches to the modern cartridge. I'm going to have to do a bit of Googling, and then we'll connect this up, put the screw in, and then mount it back into the turntable. So I've connected the wiring, and it seems as though the colour codes haven't really changed since I compared the instructions for the Audio-Technica cartridge with the Garrard instructions, and the the wiring code is basically the same, apart from the Garrard has black instead of blue wire, but the red, white and green are the same. I think red is right channel positive, I can't remember the others anyway. So yeah, so they're the same, so they're connected. So what I'm just going to do now is put the screw in, and we should be able to mount this in the turntable then. Right, there we go. I've used a metric screw, as I said. I think the original screw, which is this, is 6BA. I've used 3mm, but it sits flush, the screw does, it looks okay. And there's the new cartridge mounted in the head shell. There's a challenge. So how to get the... Alright, that's not going to be easy to slide on and off the cover. I'll leave that off. So there's the just about see the stylus sitting proud of the cartridge. So it's about as low as you could go, probably go another millimetre maybe, but I think that's pretty much where the original cartridge was height wise. So yeah, I'm just going to tidy the wiring up, and then we'll get this mounted back into the tone arm, and then we will try the turntable. I don't have great expectations, because it's quite a complex mechanism on the Garrard, the SP25, and the grease and whatever that is on the mechanism has probably aged and gone all gummy. So it'll be interesting to try. It's also quite cold in here, which isn't going to help the grease at all. But anyway, we'll give it a go, and we'll see what we get. But I'm expecting to have to clean most of the mechanism and re-grease it. Right, we're all set up for a first test of the turntable. I'm not expecting, well, anything would be an advantage. I haven't tried this at all yet, so any any movement would be good. I've got the head shell attached, and you saw I've put a new mains cable on and earthed it, and put a new phono cable on. I may change the phono cable for a slightly better one, but anyway, what I wanted to do is just see kind of what happens when I switch this on. So I'm just going to turn the amp on. So this is semi-automatic, so what should happen is I can lift the tone arm, position it and then drop it down, but that's kind of manual. I have to move it across myself. Okay, so there's mains hum for a start. I don't know if you can hear that. It's there you go, you can probably hear 50 Hertz mains hum. So I've been doing a bit of reading, and there may be, I think because I've earthed the mains lead, I think I've probably created an earth loop which is creating hum. So I think I may need to disconnect the earth from the plug and earth it to the amp instead. Anyway, that's one thing. All right, let's see what happens. So if I move this across here, it's on 33. Okay, so the turntable's turning. Has that lifted the tone arm? Oh, yeah, it has, but the tone arm's quite low. Probably 5mm above the record. I can also see as well the tone arm's quite at a bit of an angle. It should be pretty much horizontal, so could be that the cartridge is too low in the head shell. Anyway, so we are over the record. So if I move the lever now to play, oop. Alright, I'm not going to be able to play this record for long because content match on YouTube, but let's see. Okay, so sound came out. Didn't sound brilliant, but anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's something coming out. Right, let's put it across and see what happens. Ooh. There you go. So it ended at the it lifted at the end of the record. There you go, and it switched itself off. So that's a win. We've got hum, we've got the tone arm, which, yeah, it's quite an angle. So I think the cartridge needs spacing more in the head shell so that the tone arm isn't at such an angle. It's also dropping down a bit quick, and apparently you can fill the damper with oil to cushion the dropping down on the record, because that's a bit violent. Yeah, there's barely any damping there. There's a little bit, but I feel like that should be a bit slower. So that needs sorting as well. Okay, so well, anyway, it's kind of working. So yeah, we've got a few issues. We've got earth, ground loop, the angle of the tone arm, and the damping of the tone arm. But otherwise, I'm going to count that as a win for now. Okay, so that is the tone arm on the record, and you can see there's a bit of an angle of the tone arm. I prefer it to be a bit more parallel to the surface of the record, so I'm going to probably make a new spacer or adapter plate for the cartridge in the head shell, so that it's thicker, so that the tone arm is at less of an angle. I don't think it's the least of the problems at the moment, but I'll do that. And then I think what I'm going to do is rewire it again, get rid of that earth loop, maybe put a new phono cable on and run a ground cable to the amp, and it all needs cleaning and oiling as well. I was just listening to the record a little bit. I think it's running a bit slow. I don't know if that's... It doesn't vary speed. It doesn't feel like there's any wow and flutter, but feels like it's definitely running slow. So I don't know if that's just grease, and there was no real grease on the turntable spindle and the bearing. So I think all that needs cleaning and re-greasing, and then we'll see how it runs when I've done that. So more work to do, but yeah, at least it is kind of working.